and Nick.
Welcome to That Superhero Thing, where we discuss the latest superhero and comic book movies and TV shows. I'm your host, Nick, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Anthony.
Hello.
You alright?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you?
Good. I'm alright. I feel like it's been a tough week, though, because we've not been able to spoil Suicide Squad. I've had to sort of keep it all held in. But I've got to the point now where I forgot half the film. Because I've tried not to talk to anybody about it. So I feel like we're a bit stuffed. We'll try, though. We'll figure it out. We can put it together between us, maybe. And then I was going to say spoilers, but you might go into the film and it might be completely different to what we say, and it's just like a couple of bits. But we'll have a go.
Yeah.
On this week's show, then, we'll be breaking down all the week's comic book movie news, including tons of What If news. And some info on our new What If event that we're going to start next week, which is the What If Chronicles. There's so much What If news that we're going to do a bit of a What If preview at the start of the news. So just sort of go through all the info that's been released this week.
Amazing.
We're going to cover the new Venom trailer, or Venom There Be Carnage trailer, some HBO Max Blue Beetle casting news, and as always, there's got to be some flash leaks, because there's always flash leaks. It's the new Justice League, it's the new Snyder Cut, there's always something to talk about. We'll then be giving you the full review of James Gunn's Suicide Squad, spoilers and non-spoilers we'll be doing. I'm just carrying on, Anthony, I can't bother doing it again. Before discussing your thoughts and theories in this week's Pod Fans Assemble. This is also your spoiler warning. There will be spoilers and speculation throughout the episode. If you want to skip ahead to the Venom trailer review or to the Suicide Squad non-spoiler or spoiler review, then we'll put timestamps in the description. Before we get into the news, though, we just wanted to give you all a quick update on our Patreon launch, which is happening soon. Aren't you look confused?
Yes.
You're right. You're with us still?
Yeah.
Cracking. Fantastic. It's launching soon. We can now officially announce that the launch is going to be on September 1st.
Yeah.
Which is coming really quick. We're going to have to pull our fingers out.
I know.
We will have more details over the next few weeks on the different tiers that we're going to have, the different benefits as well. They're going to include things like a private Discord server, live watch parties.
Yeah.
We're going to try and make that work. And our new Patreon exclusive show. Should we tell them the name? Should we? No, we'll leave that.
Let's save that. We're
going to save the name. You're going to have to listen next week now. I've gutted. We should also probably announce that next week will be the start of the What If event, which I've kind of already announced, but I'm just running with the notes, that we're calling What If Chronicles. Every week we'll be breaking down each episode of the show. We'll also have special What If themed Podfans Assemble segments. And most exciting of all, we are going to have special guest hosts throughout the event. Maybe not every week, but we will have special guest hosts, which is going to be interesting.
I'm excited. I'm actually really excited.
What, to talk to somebody other than me?
Yeah.
Likewise. We'll release more details on all the socials this week and on the website. So let's get into news then, and we'll start off with this What If preview. So as we said, there's been loads of news out this week. Mainly because the review embargo's been lifted. So quite a few people, select people, not us unfortunately, got to see the first 3 episodes.
Oh, okay.
And they've been able to start telling everybody what they thought of it. It's had nothing but praise, to be fair, which is kind of expected because it's Marvel and it's usually good, isn't it? But yeah, everyone says it's absolutely brilliant. Mostly people are praising T'Challa Star-Lord's episode. Chadwick Boseman. I think everyone's loving the fact that, not loving the fact that it's his last performance, but the fact that he's back.
We get him one more time.
Yeah. Apparently he's in 4 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So it's not just one, but people have said he's absolutely great in it.
Yeah.
Talking of the voice actors, they have been it's been confirmed that there's over 50 MCU actors back to reprise the roles. So really, some really little parts, like Karina from Guardians of the Galaxy, the pink girl who dies. She's come back for it.
That's amazing, to be fair.
Rather than going through the list of who is in it, it's probably easiest to tell you who's not coming back. So kind of expected. So I think we've already mentioned it. Chris Evans isn't back.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is not back.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson's not back, which isn't a massive surprise, to be fair, at the moment. And Tom Holland's not coming back.
Yeah, Tom Holland's not doing it.
No Tom Holland.
I knew that.
And Dave Bautista's not coming back to do Drax, even though Drax is in an episode. And he was interviewed this week, and he said he wasn't asked to come back for it.
Oh.
Which is a bit weird, because he's obviously going to be in Guardians 3.
Yeah.
And he's going to be in the Guardians Christmas special.
Yeah.
So, but he's not coming. He's not coming.
And
back to
potentially in Thor.
And in Thor, yeah, maybe he's just busy.
Maybe
he's doing
got a lot on his plate, hasn't he?
He's busy though, isn't he? He's in June, is he?
Is he? Oh yeah, he is.
In that as well, yeah. it's a bit weird.
But they didn't even ask him.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even. It was just like he said, conflicting.
Maybe Drax is in it for like seconds with a couple of lines.
And it's not worth the cost.
We don't need to. There's also been some interviews. I say some interviews. There's been loads of interviews, press conferences, all that sort of stuff. There's quite a few interesting bits, but the bit I picked up on where executive producer Brad Winderbaum told comicbook.com, he said, "It's no coincidence that the show picks up right after Loki. The multiverse has erupted in every possible direction, and What If gives us a chance to explore that. I think that without going into great detail, I can tell you that What If, as a project, as a story that exists in the MCU, is as important as any other and is woven into that tapestry. So it's all canon."
Oh, okay.
So it's literally, it's not one of these, which I think we were sort of expecting kind of anyway, that it'd be like, I feel like when it was sold,
it could be canon but separate at the same time is what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah, but I think when it originally got announced, it was going to be like just sort of like a throwaway thing, or like, wouldn't it be funny if this happened? I don't think any of us sort of figured out it's going to be like proper
multiversey stuff.
Yeah. So the fact that it's now potentially going to just literally be part of the story, and that we might see some of the characters from What If show up later on in the MCU.
Maybe.
Potentially, but I've got a bit more news on that. Another bit before we move on to the rest of the news on it though. One of the show's writers, a lady called AC Bradley, she did an interview with, I'm going to try and pronounce this, I think it's called Kaku Chipori. I don't know if it's a podcast or news website, but...
a name.
Or a name, potentially.
I thought you were talking about a person.
Sorry, I don't know, I think so, maybe. She said she pitched an entire episode, and it took me a couple of days to break it, and I was very excited about it. But then... when she pitched it, she was told they can't have that as an episode because it's basically half the plot of Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh.
Which makes you wonder. Well, obviously, it's clearly super secretive, the plot of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because these guys didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
But it must be a bit out there if it was supposed... If
she thought of it for a what if.
For a what if episode, yeah. So, God only knows what,
I'm so
what
excited.
sort of route to take in. Maybe it's multiversey. Maybe it's going down that route. So, as we just said, there's also rumours circulating from Daniel Reitman and the Diz Insider that multiple What If characters are going to appear in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and that there's probably going to be a live-action Captain Carter amongst them. So we could get Hayley Atwell back.
And maybe a blonde Nebula.
And maybe a Blonde Nebula. I just want to see that.
I
want Captain Carter, but now that you said Blonde Nebula, I really want Blonde Nebula, like live action Blonde Nebula, just to see what she looks like.
Yeah.
We did have a better look at her this week as well in one of the, I think it was on a toy packaging. I think I sent you a picture, didn't I?
Yeah.
Rather than just being the toy of obviously what she's going to look like in the show. It looks... It's going to be really interesting to see, but it's really weird.
Yeah.
See it, like the fact that she's smiling but not looking like she's smiling because she's going to kill somebody. She just like looks like she's smiling happy, and the blonde hair, it just looks really
different,
out of place.
Yeah.
To a degree. Bit of bad news then for What If, even though that it was reported, and I think we talked about it as well, that we'll be getting 10 or 11 episodes of What If. Collider is reporting that there's only going to be 9.
Oh.
So that must mean that it's finishing end of September, very start of October.
Yeah.
And Hawkeye doesn't start till the 24th of November. So that's a big gap. What are we going to talk about for 6 weeks? I'm not worried about the lack of Marvel. I would have as just a fan, but now that I do a podcast, it's like, what are we going to talk about for 6 weeks in the middle?
We'll just have to see what's coming out in between.
Just hope there's something good. Bit of good news though, it's already been greenlit for series 2. So there's going to be 9 episodes series 1 and then 9 episodes season 2.
Okay.
So we're getting 18 altogether.
Cool.
But when it's going to happen, I don't know. And if it is multiverse linked, it must mean that the multiverse is going on for a little while.
Yeah.
In the MCU, which is
it's different, isn't it? Because with this being animated, they can be running this alongside everything else. It's not like
they can,
because the way they do voice acting is they take them in for like a couple of days and then they call them back like 2 months later and then just do a couple of days again.
Yeah,
and that's how it kind of runs.
So they could have already done when they did 2 series already.
When they did Toy Story, for example, Tom Hanks would go in for like 3 or 4 weeks. And then you'd have an 8-month gap, and then you'd go back in for 3 or 4 more weeks.
Just to sort of like polish off the last bits.
like, or any extra bits that they've added in, or things like that, or changed.
Yeah.
So it's not like being there every single day, 7 days a week,
Yeah.
So
it's going to be weird though if they do a series 2. That, and I know you're saying like it's animated, so it can just run alongside it. But if it is supposed to be canon and it is multiverse linked, then it must mean that the multiverse is going to go on for a little while.
Maybe.
But I suppose if it's going to be phase 4 and 5, it could end up being bigger.
It could just be a thing that exists.
Like Sarah said in the interview that we did last week, it's like she thinks that maybe the multiverse is going to be the villain, basically, kind of, and it could run for phase 4 and 5. So could go on for a while. But yeah, that's it pretty much for the what if news. Again, as I said, we'll be doing the full what if event starting next week. We are obviously this is releasing Friday this week, so we're back to Friday releases for the foreseeable now. Yeah, with what if. Going on with news then. So we've got some more Disney news. It looks like simultaneous cinema and Disney Plus releases are done. Nerdist is reporting that Eternals and Free Guy, which is out this Friday, today, on the release day, are going to be in cinemas only. So there's not going to be a simultaneous Disney Plus release because it's Disney, isn't it? Free Guy now. It's 20th Century Studios. Shang-Chi's already been confirmed to be running along that route. So that must just be it. Whether we're still going to have the premiere access, maybe like early before, maybe on like the time that it'd come out on Blu-ray, a movie, because they're still going to want to make some money off premiere access, aren't they? At the end of the day, do you find it like a bit bad that they're doing it with Free Guy? So Free Guy is technically going to be the first Disney, speech marks movie that's not not going to have the simultaneous release. And they've had this huge kickoff with a Black Widow, which only came out a couple of weeks ago, and they could have just done it with Black Widow.
100%.
It's not good. Not good, is it at all? Sticking with Disney Plus then. So again, we talked about this last week. We've already found out that Hawkeye is going to be released on the 24th of November, and we were wondering what's going to happen with Ms. Marvel because we'd been told it was coming out this year as well. Well, TV Line's Matt Webb-Mitovich reckons from his sources that it's been pushed back to early 2022 now.
Makes sense though, doesn't it?
Does make sense. I'd rather it doesn't get rushed. I'd rather it doesn't sort of just like get squeezed in like the last week. You don't want it releasing over Christmas because people are too busy doing other things, aren't they? It is just that fact that we're now going to have a massive gap between What If and we're going to have a big gap between What If and anything, really, aren't we?
I know.
What have we got? So we've got What If. We've got Shang-Chi's going to release during What If. And Eternals is,
I think it's just before Hawkeye, isn't it?
Start of November, yeah. So there's going to be something there, but maybe they're just trying to keep
We've also got, when's Venom coming out?
Venom is over here. It is the 15th September, but it's not until the 24th of September in the US.
Okay.
So we get it 9 days before. So there's going to be a bit of a gap.
Yeah.
There'll be other stuff. There's other stuff coming out. Let's move on to some DC news then. The Flash leaks. We've always got Flash leaks. This is kind of a leak, kind of isn't. So last month there were pictures. There was loads of pictures released because there always are. But there were pictures of Ezra Miller and like a body double filming scenes.
Oh yeah.
And they'd said, or a couple of places reported that it was going to be multiple versions of Barry in the movie.
Oh, right,
so there's going to be like an alternate reality Barry.
Yeah.
Well, the Direct are reporting that this other Barry is going to be the main villain of the movie.
Oh.
Which I feel like it's a bit underwhelming. So we've got probably Ben Affleck back. We've got Supergirl back. We've got Michael Keaton. I think if we're going down that route, we're going down the Flashpoint Paradox route, aren't we?
Yeah.
Reverse Flash. It's like, I know we've seen him loads of times in the CW series, but that's crap. So why are we making Ezra Miller and just having an alternate version of?
Yeah.
Unless at the end, because he tends to like change how he looks, doesn't he? So unless at the end we find out that it is Reverse Flash, maybe that's a setup. But yeah, I feel like it's a bit underwhelming.
Yeah,
I reckon. Still with DC then, HBO Max's Blue Beetle. So we talked about this a few months ago that it was announced it's going to be a straight to HBO Max movie from Angel Manuel Soto. It was rumoured as soon as it got announced that Cobra Kai's Xolo Maridueña was going to be up for the role of Jaime Reyes, who is obviously the character Blue Beetle. It's been confirmed at the Suicide Squad premiere that he is in it, which is good because he's really good in Cobra Kai. He's the main character in Cobra Kai. Apparently, he only found out just before the premiere.
Really?
So he rolled up with the director, with Angel Manuel Soto, and he'd only just been told, so he looked absolutely made up. If you look at all the pictures of him, he's got a big smile on his face. But yeah, as I said, he's great in Cobra Kai, so I'm really looking forward to that. I know it's not superhero related, I put this on Twitter as well, the Cobra Kai teaser dropped today, so Thursday we're recording this. Says Cobra Kai's out in December. You've not watched Cobra Kai, have you?
No, because I've not watched Karate Kid either.
So good. You need to watch Karate Kid, and then you need to watch Cobra Kai. It's brilliant. Should we talk about the Venom trailer then before we go on to Suicide Squad? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
I already knew that. I already knew that, but I thought the best ask. What? Go on. What, before we sort of break it down, what did you think of it?
It's what I'm expecting, to be honest.
Yeah, is that a good thing?
Do you know what? I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. I'm happy with it. It looks like it's just going to be something that's entertaining.
It looks like it does.
Do you know what I mean?
It's just going to be. It looks like it's going to be along the lines of like how the first Suicide Squad movie was, like not particularly good, but a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
I don't get all the hate that got because I enjoyed it. It was crap.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
But I'm now that we've seen like that little bit more of Carnage, like I'm excited to see Woody Harrelson more.
He looks like he's doing a really good job of it.
Yeah.
To be fair, the way like the look, the acting of it, and stuff like that.
Most things, I'm so used to Woody Harrelson being like the butt of the jokes.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're getting a little bit more from him this time, which that's what I'm excited to see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it looks. I mean, I know we've seen him for seconds in the trailer, but he looks like he's doing some acting in this, doesn't he? Rather than it just like, oh, it's a paycheck and doing a superhero movie.
Villainous.
He does, yeah. He looks like it's a role. You wouldn't. I don't know whether I'd have thought Woody Harrelson for Cletus Cassidy before, but he's making it. He looks to be making it work. I'm just a bit. The thing is, it's like the tone of the movie and where it's going with the trailer, because it looks like, you know how like we say like with Marvel films, they've just perfectly got it now where the heroes are just like that spot on amount of goofy, but heroes at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like that's what they're trying for with Eddie Brock, and just from the trailers, it's not working. It's like Tom Hardy just looks. He's just being a bit stupid rather than being the super heroic, and I'm just not sure about the tone. It looks good. It looks interesting. It looks like it'll be fun, but the tone sort of worries me a little bit.
I think though it's the tone of Venom that's making that seem worse.
Yeah, it's like
because it's the way Venom speaks to him and stuff like that. It makes him seem more.
It's a dynamic between the two, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like I like it. Because I like that. It's like a buddy cop type of thing, isn't it? Kind of like good cop, bad cop. But it's not Venom.
No.
It's just not what I think Venom should be.
No.
He reminded me of spoilers for, not spoilers, but King Shark, like that attitude. He's kind of like, that's what they're doing with Venom. Yeah. And Venom's supposed to be like
more
sinister.
Evil. Yeah.
And I know obviously they're making him the hero of this because they can't have him as a villain. He's supposed to be the hero in the movie, isn't he? Because he's not part of Spider-Man. But it makes me think it's like, especially if we're getting all these different multiverses, I appreciate this Venom, but let's have this Venom if we've got to have it, and then let's do a proper Venom in the MCU, because there's no reason we can't do that now.
You like, the thing is, when I watched the animated series and Venom came into it, it was like a kid's version of Alien. That level of fear.
Yeah, he was a scary character.
Yeah. And you just, as much as it's enjoyable to watch this, it's not that Venom.
Yeah. Like I know we didn't have it in this trailer, but like the whole singing thing in the first trailer, whereas they're cooking Eddie Brock breakfast, it's like that's just not. No. It's just not Venom, is it? At the end of the day, and even in like the cartoon, I mean, I've read little bits of the comics, but mostly my sort of experience of Venom is from like the 1990s cartoon, same as you. But even in that, when Venom became a bit of an anti-hero towards the end, it was down to the fact that Eddie Brock was controlling him and had more control over the pairing, rather than Venom being a bit of a stupid, goofy, I'll play as long as you give me food sort of thing. And it's like they've proper, not toned him down, but it's like an R-rated movie, this. There's no reason they couldn't have gone down a bit more of a darker horror vibe. But I suppose, as I said, it is what it is. I did find it quite funny at the end when he sees Carnage and he's like, oh shit, and he like goes back in.
It's the red one.
It's a red one. And then again, which I thought was alright, and then he's like, I promise you can eat as many people as you want. And it's like, it's just a bit too stupid. But well, it is what it is though, isn't it? It looks like they've changed Carnage's origin in it as well.
Because it's like a bite,
he bites him and seems to become like somehow infected, whereas in the comics, Carnage is...
I mean, it's the Spider-Man story all over again, isn't it?
It
all comes from a bite.
You got bitten by a radioactive Eddie Brock. That's how you became Carnage. But in the comics, it's... Carnage is Venom's offspring. So when Eddie Brock gets locked in prison, he basically Venom has a kid, kind of. He reproduces somehow, and that's left in the cell, and then Cletus Cassidy ends up in the cell, and that's how he becomes Carnage. So I don't get the impression a lot of people are happy with that, because it's like the sort of, and we don't know that that's going to be the way he does it, I suppose, but. It seems to be going that way. We also got in the trailer a few shots of Naomi Harris's shriek. Yeah. Just shrieking. Yeah. Basically. She didn't really do much else, did she? Two shots of her just screaming. That was it, basically. So.
I wish what she got to do with the story. That's like that.
Well, I know, I mean, in the comics.
In the trailer, you just don't really get that at all, do you?
No, not at all. No, it's just like we've got Naomi Harris in this movie, who's a decent actress. We just need to put her in there somewhere, sort of thing.
Show that she's doing a thing.
Yeah, but I don't know how she's going to contribute to the story. I mean, in the comics, she's Cletus Cassidy's girlfriend.
Right, okay.
So I assume they're going to go down the same sort of route, I suppose. But as I said, it looks good. I suppose that what we've just said about Naomi Harris is they're not giving everything away in the trailer.
No.
Maybe. Unless she literally is only for like 2 shots, and they're setting her up for to be the bad guy in the third one. I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I just hope we've not seen all the good bits and the funny bits.
That's always the bit that worries me. I was worried about that with Suicide Squad, to be honest.
I was worried about it with Suicide Squad. I can't say Suicide Squad. I'm going to struggle through this. I'm going to struggle because we've got to talk about it for the rest of this
Suicide
episode.
Spoilers.
Suicide Squad. I'm going to really struggle with it. But yeah. I mean, they did a pretty good job with that because it gave things... I think... I don't want to spoil things. It would have been very, very easy to give things away in that trailer.
Yeah.
And I think they did a half-decent job of not.
Yeah.
Whereas things like this and knowing what Sony are like with trailers, this worries me. I'm still a little bit worried about Ghostbusters that we've seen pretty much the whole movie in the trailer. And it's probably the one thing that's making me think I don't want a Spider-Man trailer. I mean, I do want one, but I don't want the whole movie to be ruined. Because that's what Sony tend to do. But yeah, looking forward to Venom. It's out, as we said, it's out 15th September in the UK. It's not out until the 24th of September in the US. So, big difference. We will figure out how we're going to do the reviews from there. Should we try and talk about Suicide Squad?
Let's do it.
I did it. I said it without...
Well done,
I said it without completely butchering the word. So, as we said, it's just come out. So, Friday this is releasing. It's just come out today in the US on day of the release. We saw it a week ago because it's been out for a week in the UK. We will do, rather than just ruin it for everybody, we'll do a not full non-spoilers review.
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll break it down, do spoilers, and talk about what we liked and what we didn't. So non-spoilers then. I had mixed feelings. I was
quite dubious about it.
I love James Gunn, and I was really confident that he'd do a really good job, but I was just worried about the fact that it was DC.
Yeah.
And what the current state of their movies were. There wasn't a need though, was there? Because it was fantastic.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it, and I think
it was literally a laugh a minute.
It was constantly, wasn't it?
I wouldn't say the storyline was strong, but it was just fun, and it didn't matter if that makes sense. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
like
it didn't need.
If the film is entertaining enough, it doesn't need an amazing story.
Yeah,
but if it's not that entertaining, you then start to tear apart the story, which I think is what happened with the first Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but then the first Suicide Squad, I think that was still entertaining. I think I can remember coming out of the first Suicide Squad and looking at you and being like, that was the biggest load of shit I've ever seen, but I loved it. It was fun, and I think going back now and watching it multiple times, not that I sit and watch it like every Saturday or anything like that, but watching it again, it doesn't have the same appeal because you know all the jokes that are coming.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with it. But I think on the first viewing, I did still quite enjoy the first one. But this one, I said, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I want to go and watch it again.
Yeah, I want to watch it again.
To be fair, I mean, I did a little bit after watching Black Widow, but straight after Black Widow, I didn't want to go and watch it again straight away. I enjoyed it, but this, I came out of it and was like, I could watch that again tomorrow. I really enjoyed it. And I think, talking about like how we were a bit dubious over the fact that it's DC, I think again we talked about this on the way to watch it. James Gunn has said he was given complete creative control over this.
Yeah.
He was given freedom, what characters he could use, what his story was going to be, completely everything.
Yeah.
And it 100%
I'm just really hoping that they take note of how this one fares compared to the others.
When they don't
interfere. Yeah.
And we talked about the fact, with the first one, I know we keep going back to it, but David Ayer's original cut, apparently that's there, that's done. But David Ayer doesn't want anything to do with it anymore. He's basically said, don't push for an Ayer cut. We don't want it. I'm completely disowning the movie. I think he's just had enough of it, But
which is sad, isn't it?
It is sad.
Like when you think that's like probably at least 3 years worth of work.
Yes.
If not more.
Yeah.
And you think that's obviously taken up so much of your time and stuff, to then want to completely disown that it ever happened.
I know.
Like I find
what a bad experience that must have been. And do you know what?
But it might not even be that it was a bad experience. It might be something at the very end that's just turned it all sour.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part about it.
But you see this, don't you? You see it with who was Josh Trank, who directed Fantastic Four, Fantastic, and 20th Century Fox just came in and just completely ruined the movie. And you feel sorry for these directors who go in with like a vision.
And they get a bad name off the back of it.
Exactly.
And I just think it's a total letdown on their ability and talent.
Yeah. I think James Gunn's been lucky in the position that he was in.
Yeah.
Because he'd just been sacked by Marvel, and it was kind of like, DC will do anything to sort of have a pop at Marvel, so let's get James Gunn in and let's do it. And that's no disrespect to James Gunn. He's fantastic. I bet DC were thinking, brilliant, he's free, we can get him. And it wasn't just out of spite, we'll use him because Marvel haven't got him. I think they just thought, this is brilliant.
He knows what
excellent
works.
Opportunity. Exactly. Excellent opportunity for us. I think talking about like the story, like you just said, it was a good story. There wasn't a lot to it, though. That's the thing. I mean, right.
It was basic.
It was. To talk, right, from what you see in the trailers, because we can talk about it to a degree. So, in essence, it's basically Amanda Waller is putting a team together to go and destroy Project Starfish.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
literally it.
That is the story. It's a bit more fleshed out.
Yeah.
But again, with a few like minor subplots, but again, that's getting a bit spoilery. And it's fantastic, but I think the beauty of it is, rather than overcomplicating the story, when you've got such a big cast, the draw of the film was you really got to know all the characters.
Yeah.
And there's lots of characters in there.
Yeah.
And some of them are in it a lot more than others without spoiling anything. But you can see that from the trailers anyway.
Yeah.
But there's no weak link when it comes to the characters.
No, not at all.
They're all absolutely.
There was no one there that I thought they're pulling this down a little bit or anything. Everyone was brilliant.
Exactly. There was no one there that you thought, coming out of it, you thought, we could have not had that. I mean, you probably could have not had some of them, but there was no one, it was like, I can't really remember what they did or what they were were about. They all had the moment.
Yeah.
They all had the backstory, and that's
it's all
what's
coming back
good.
to me as we say it.
Things are coming back to me. I don't know. What I'm thinking is I reckon what you're thinking as well. So, talk about the characters then. Again, no spoilers, but some of them are a bigger focus than others. The standouts the standouts anyway for me were quite a lot of them. Idris Elba was brilliant in Bloodsport. Margot Robbie is obviously fantastic as Harley Quinn. It was good. I mean, she's always good. Yeah. Even when she's not done well by like the story.
Yeah.
I mean, she was great in the first Suicide Squad. She was great in Birds of Prey. But in this, because she was handled properly, she was amazing. Really enjoyed her all the way through. Joel Kinnaman is brilliant in it. Even though I didn't like him in the first one. He was the weak link in the first one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But in this, he was just a completely different character. John Cena is fantastic. And then probably my favourite two were Daniela Melchior, who was Ratcatcher 2.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
I won't talk more about her when we go to spoilers. And David Dastmalchian as Polka Dot Man.
Yeah.
He was great.
So
he was great as well. But I couldn't...
But listen, I've still got to mention it. Sylvester Stallone.
I forgot, yeah.
Like, I laughed so hard every time he was on screen.
Yeah.
Not him, obviously.
Yeah.
But, just every time he spoke,
every word is just like perfectly written.
Yeah, perfectly written, perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Like it just made
and
me
really
laugh.
well acted by Sly Stallone in the voice.
Yeah, and I was
doing the voice.
And it's funny because like, without spoiling it, he has a lot of his own adventures in the process, and I was just totally with him the whole time.
No, it didn't feel like what are you doing, dragging away from the story. It's like
I was just like, oh, where's he off to now?
Exactly. Exactly.
And I just loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
Amazing. I think all in all, sort of like wrapping up non-spoilers, because there's not really much we can talk about without giving away words.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It completely lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I like James Gunn with Marvel, but if James Gunn's going to wrap up after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I get the impression he probably is, that's him done.
Yeah.
DC need to get him in as the DC version of Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
Bring in James Gunn, tell him to just decide to do everything, to ask him what to do story-wise,
and
just let him
go.
Because he can. I do think he can do the darker tones rather than just he doesn't need to direct every movie, but give him the let him run story-wise. Because that's the thing with this. It's like Margot Robbie did it. I saw like a piece from her, and it was just like a little snippet of an interview, and it said something along the lines of, it's not a sequel, it's not a reboot, and it's not a remake. It's like the comics, so that when different writers write the comics, they've got their own tone and kind of go on their own story. Yeah. Which is true, I get that. Yeah. But then at the same time, it didn't lack any continuity. No. And I hate it when stuff... I hate it. Same. Like, I hate the
that's the thing,
X-Men films doing it.
It didn't try and put it into part of a story arc, so it can just be a thing that happened at any point in time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, especially mainly because of Margot Robbie. Yeah. Because she's been in obviously the other films. You could put that film at any point around those other films, really.
Yeah, you could.
And it wouldn't make a difference to her storyline whatsoever.
No.
Because nothing's given away in that of backstory and stuff.
Even the fact that, I suppose there's hints. Not hints. There's not spoilers. You know that she's obviously not with the Joker anymore.
Yeah.
But that's probably the only thing, but it could be. It could have been like.
But then
before.
You look at the comics. How many times did Joker and Harley Quinn break up and make up?
It could have been.
It could have been at any point.
Yeah. I suppose it has to be after the first Suicide Squad, because that's what sets them up.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But you know
what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah. It could
what I
be
mean
anywhere.
is, like, from this point onwards, they could do anything.
Yeah.
And it will still fit in wherever it goes.
Yeah, I agree. It was. There's been talk about this. We can cover this in non-spoilers, I suppose. It was extremely gory.
Oh God, yeah.
It was very sweary.
I was like,
very graphic.
People have said, haven't they? Like, people have gone, how is this not an 18
in the UK?
Yeah.
And the BBFC have had to come out and defend the fact that they've made it a 15 rather than 18. I think they've said because even though it's really gory, it's very graphic, and obviously, as I said, there's just lots of very sweary. I'm going to repeat what I said. Yeah. It's all done in a comic tone. Yeah. And if it wasn't comic, then they'd have probably gone down the 18 route, but because it's funny, they don't have to. But it makes me think, like, because I was obviously, like, I've said this a few times. I've got an 8-year-old and he likes the Marvel films and he's watched most of them. Yeah. He's dying to watch Deadpool. I won't let him, obviously, because he's not watching it. Yeah. But when they did Deadpool Before Christmas? When they redid Deadpool 2, but they made it like a PG-13 in America.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
I've not seen it. Yeah, they did it. They did it. Yeah, so they got the kid from the Wonder Years in, and basically made it the Princess Bride, where he's in the bed at the start. So it's all part of the story, but it was basically a PG-13 in America, which is R12. Yeah. But the BBFC still rated it a 15 in the UK. So how can something that's been rated 12 in America get rated 15 here, and then this is a 15? Because it was, and because at the end of the day, Deadpool's a comedy. Yeah. But makes you wonder whether money's changed hands maybe at some point. Don't take my word for that. Like, so it's fantastic. Go and watch it if you've not watched it already, and then come back. Pause it here, watch it, and then come back and listen to the spoiler review. So have we covered enough in non-spoilers?
I think so.
Should we do spoilers? I'm dying to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So again, full spoilers. We're not going to do a full breakdown with it again because we couldn't find a plot. So we're just gonna talk about the bits we liked. But again, I know I did this with Black Widow. We've just got to start with the opening. Yeah. It's
brilliant.
it was amazing, but it was completely what I expected, but not at all what I expected, in that I didn't think they'd do it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. That I told you when we sat down in the cinema, Pete Davidson's not going to last 10 minutes. And I didn't think he wouldn't last 10 minutes. I thought it was a joke. But just when he gets his face blown off.
That's like, what?
I was shocked.
That's the thing, when we started with, I can't remember the actor's name, but Mel from...
Michael Rooker?
Yeah. When we started with him, I knew that I didn't see him in most of the trailer.
Yeah.
But I thought, because it's focused on him so much at the beginning, I thought he was going to last a while.
I did. I thought
he might get away and come into the second group at some point.
Yes.
Maybe as like a captive or something like that, and he gets rescued in the process. And no, I mean, he died 5 minutes after Pete Davidson.
It's quality. It's brilliant. if not less, like 2 minutes. It was
just swimming away screaming.
I think they did a good job with the trailers, as I said, because it's hard to show all those characters who are dying in the first minute of the movie and not make it glaringly obvious in the trailers that they weren't going to be in it. And I think it's the trailers that made me think they're probably not going to be in it much, because they were just sort of scattered. And within, like, to be fair, once you've watched, even before they all died, you could tell, I've now seen every shot of these people that I've seen in the trailers. They're gonna die now. But I think even if it was spoiled in the trailers, it would have been early enough in the film that it didn't really matter, because it was minutes into the film. They're all dead, and the deaths were just rough as anything. Pete Davidson,
the guy whose arms came off.
The guy Nathan Fillion was just like completely just like slapping. He's got, I think somebody said in an interview before, he's got no superpowers. He's not got super strength when he does it. It's literally just detached arms flopping around, and even like the way Harley Quinn's like looking at him like, what the hell is this? What am I watching here?
It's the way he stood there with his body being like,
I know, yeah. And then when the arms are getting shot and he's on the floor going, it's like he's not actually getting shot, it's just his arms.
So funny.
Amazing.
I really enjoyed that.
Weasel, Sean Gunn's Weasel was brilliant. I loved Weasel. When Pete Davidson's like, is this a werewolf? And he's like jumping up and down. And doesn't one of them say that he looks like an Afghan hound or something like that? Absolutely amazing. Captain Boomerang dying. I was a bit sad at that. I was. Yeah, just the way he was sat there, because once they all started dying, I think a little bit of me thought Captain Boomerang won't die because it's Jai Courtney and he was in the first one, so maybe they'll have to rescue him and he'll get kidnapped or something like that.
Yeah.
And then when you see there and he's just like covered in, he's like been like impaled by loads of bits of wood, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And it shocked me that I was a little bit sad. It still makes me a bit sad. I mean, I don't think he's a particularly good actor. Like, I didn't really rate him in the first one, but it's just like nostalgia from a 4-year-old film. But I just felt, it just felt a bit weird that he was dead. But yeah, they were all pretty graphic deaths. I thought the other hilarious scene was when they went to rescue Rick Flag.
Yeah.
And they killed all the people. That was... I mean, it was...
Like, I was sitting there and I was, like, really rooting for them. This is the thing. And they're getting there and I was like, they're actually doing really well here.
But then it got to the point when they'd killed half of them where it was like, you weren't rooting for them anymore. It was just like... Well, not that you didn't want them to die. You wanted them to die, but... I get what you're saying. It's like, how are these going to kill all these people?
Yeah.
But then when it became a bit like of a chore and like John Cena's like walking along with his knife, just go stab.
Oh my God.
And they're having like him and Bloodsport are having the competition.
Yeah.
It wasn't like rooting for them anymore. It was like, this is just too easy sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you see Rick and it's like they're on my man.
It's the looks on their faces when they realise.
Oh, it's so awkward.
It was hilarious.
Oh, so good. That's just absolutely genius. And then the bit with the start with Nom. Yeah, but he's sneaking up.
When he's sneaking behind the trees. A fucking shark. Do you know what? Part of me wishes that I'd just done one.
Oh, we missed that. They completely missed that. That was brilliant. And then, I mean, there's not that many like scenes, big scenes in it. It's because it kind of, I mean, we'll go on to like, the finale scene. We're not going to wrap up the whole review there. We've obviously got loads to talk about, like the individual characters, but it jumped about a little bit, and it did confuse me a little bit. I'm quite easily confused, but it jumped about like time wise, multiple times, and I think that was the only thing I didn't really like about it, because it didn't feel, obviously it's not natural if you're jumping back and forth time wise, but it didn't feel like, maybe it was like not necessary. Because you get loads of films where things like jump about time-wise and you get like flashbacks and stuff like that. And I've never found...
like it happened that often though.
No, I don't think... I think it happened like 2 or 3 times. Because we started...
It was just to give us... It just started with backstory, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, because we started with the intro and then it jumped back to how they got there and gave us Elba's backstory. And then we got
when they were using the Scott Pilgrim type...
Yes.
Comic-y thing.
With like Rescue
3 days earlier.
Yeah, Operation...
Twigs on the beach and stuff.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. And the Savant's Blood... making the Suicide Squad for James Gunn's Suicide Squad. But then at the end again, it's like when it all kicked off and like the building blew up and and half of them fought. Oh, it was when we got to the point where John Cena was about to kill Ratcatcher 2.
Yeah.
And then we jumped back 8 minutes again.
Yeah.
And it just felt, it didn't take me out of it, but it just felt a bit jarring with it.
Yeah.
Did you get what I mean? It was a bit too abrupt, and it didn't need to be there.
No, but I get it, because if they'd have filmed it and they'd have just done it in canon and was like, here's him doing this and there's them doing that bit, you know that it's going to kind of hit in between. But I think the fact that they let that one side play out, you're like, he could actually do this.
Yeah.
And then it jumped to 8 minutes earlier to show you what's happening kind of on the other side of the building.
Yeah.
And then it leads you up to that exact moment, and I was like, right, okay. But it had me thinking for more time that something bad was going to happen to her. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you mean, yeah.
And I think that's why they did it the way they did it.
Yeah, particularly with the way that like no one was safe.
No.
And James Gunn had said this.
Yeah.
But I thought once the first lot had died at the start, I thought most of them would be pretty safe then.
Yeah. No.
But no, not at all. No. Not at all. So yeah, it was completely,
to be honest,
feasible.
There were about 3 cases where I thought Shark had died.
Yeah, a couple of times, yeah.
I was like...
I'm surprised he was still alive. He's just like the Hulk. They just can't be killed.
I know.
Clearly. I mean, he was getting shot at and he was just bouncing off him. I know, yeah. He's like, to be fair though, if he's going to be their answer to the Hulk, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
DC's Hulk, I'm good with that. I'm amazing with that. Nom-noms. Absolutely brilliant. Like when Idris Elba points at the end, he's like, nom-noms. He's like, nom-noms. He runs at the shark, at the starfish. But yeah, so the finale... It did, as it did go on forever. Not in a bad way. It was really enjoyable. I just found like the time jump a little bit of jarring. As I said, John Cena turning villain, even though he is a villain, but you know what I mean.
I thought that was a decent twist.
I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see it coming.
He wasn't like obvious bad guy all the way through.
No.
Which most of the time. They are in films. So when you put Max von Sydow in a film and there's a good guy and there's a bad guy somewhere, it's like clearly it's going to be Max von Sydow.
It was like he was the hot guy put to the front, even though he's dumb as shit, basically. Yeah. And then
if someone was going to be a bad guy,
he was quite calculating in the end, and it was like, oh,
yeah.
And you were quite shocked, yeah.
Which is even more sort of that he's thinking, because he must have been to a degree putting on the stupid act.
Yeah.
Throughout it. But again, it shocked me that he turned bad. But when he killed Rick Flag, I was really, really shocked, because I think he stabbed him before, and it's like he survived. I think it's really clever by James Gunn, because I think at one point, I'm trying to remember this, he stabbed him in the chest or somewhere that wasn't his heart.
Yeah.
And it's like what we saw could have killed him. Yeah. And then Rick Flag pulled it out and carried on fighting. And I feel like that was sort of like have we killed him? No, we haven't killed him. And I think that put you on complete, well, they're not going to kill him. And then he just piles that thing into his heart, and it's like, shit, they've actually killed him. But I think it was a very clever way of taking you off edge.
False pretenses.
Yeah. It's like they had you on edge, and then they completely were like, "Oh, he's all right, he's okay," and then he's died. And I think that was really good writing by James Gunn.
So the bit when they were camping, and then they wake up, and Shark's about to eat.
Yeah.
Ratcatcher 2.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's just like, oh. No. With her in his mouth.
The look.
And they're like, no.
The look he gave, and she just sleeps all the way through.
I know.
All the way.
But even that fight was pretty good. Because it was just never ending. He was coming back and John Cena was just throwing punch after punch after punch.
What, in an hour?
At the shark.
I can't remember it.
Do you not remember that?
No, don't remember.
Because he was really angry that he'd stopped him from eating her. And then she had to stop them both and be like, you wouldn't eat a friend, would you?
Yeah.
And then he was like, I've got no friends. And she was like, well, let me be your friend.
I'll be your friend now, yeah.
And that's how they
And the
resolved
rat,
it in the end.
Sebastian the rat.
The rat was amazing.
Sebastian the rat was so good.
He's waving.
Absolutely so amazing. Should we talk about characters then? Should we get into characters? So, I think the main character is Idris Elba. Would you say he's probably the main character?
Yeah.
They all had pretty equal screen time and sort of story arcs,
but the storyline was really focused around him and his journey
and him becoming the leader because he didn't think he was a leader and he became the leader of it. Idris Elba did brilliant. I appreciate the fact that they didn't try and get him to put on a shit American accent. And
I must admit, I've always been a bit on the fence with Idris Elba.
Yeah.
I always find that he does very similar roles. And even to an extent, I think it was a bit similar to what he normally does anyway. Yeah. But
it was like Cockney badass, wasn't it?
But I really enjoyed him in this.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. He pulled off the humour.
Yeah,
well.
This was the difference. There was that level of humour, and it was I'm stuck with these absolute tits, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what it was. And the rolling of the eyes, literally just under his breath, like the for God's sakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was just so funny and it worked really well.
Yeah. He was kind of like us in the movie. It's like our reactions to every time. Not like watching the movie because obviously we see it as a comedy, but it's like if you were in that situation
it's exactly how you would react.
You've got a shark going hand, stuff like that, you'll be like, oh, for fuck's sake. What is this?
Hiding under the tape on the bus.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like he is, and I like the story arc. I thought it was good. And again, it's a good way that it's good that they've sort of, these are villains and they're supposed to be villains, but they all do sort of come out at the end.
Well, I like the fact that their incentive is getting time shaved off.
Yeah, well, it was like that in the first one as well, wasn't it?
No, I know, but I just think it's a really good way of creating an anti-hero, isn't it?
Yes, rather than it being
do something good,
yeah,
and you'll get this reward in the end, but it's not a reward of you'll get your freedom or something. It's just time shaved.
It's more obvious and realistic. It's I would imagine once we get to the stage where we're getting like the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers in the MCU, they won't go down the route of you get time off your sentence. No. They'll be like, oh, try and be, and I don't think it'll be bad. I think it'll be great, but they'll sort of try and make the logic along the lines of you are doing the right thing, or you're the hero now, or something like that. Yeah. And it doesn't need that. It just needs, you can have 10 years off your prison sentence if you do this job for us. Yeah. That's it. That's what you need, and it completely makes sense.
At this point, seeing as we're talking about the prison time shaving, Amanda Waller,
yeah,
she was amazing.
But she wasn't in it that much.
She wasn't
in it as much as the first one. But
she left an imprint in you big time.
Yeah, and her team.
Yeah,
Amanda Waller
team were brilliant.
Team were so good.
She was just absolutely ruthless.
She's horrible. I mean, we knew she was horrible in the first one because she killed all the
honestly,
people.
you could have got away with calling this the Expendables as well, because that's all they were to her.
Oh, they were all just Expendables. 100%.
I mean, I get it because it's called the Suicide Squad as well. But
it is. She was great. I liked it when the at the end when they knock her out with the golf club. And the other thing.
I did not see that.
And then that woman goes, Danny, turn the fucking satellite on, you dickhead, or something like that. It's just like, it's exactly like, it's real life. It's exactly how you talk to, not that we call people dickheads
or hit our bosses over the head with a golf club.
No, but it's maybe it depends what mood I'm in. But it's more real. I mean, they've got a talking shark in this, but it's more real.
Yeah.
But yeah, Viola Davis was absolutely great. She always is. She was in this one, and considering she didn't get that much screen time, like you said, you remembered the performance from her. Yeah, she was really good. I like her in the DC universe. I'd like to see her in the greater DC universe. Yeah. Not just this. Yeah. And if they were clever about it, they could do this. They could have these all tying in. Like Sarah said on the interview last week, they're all like sort of separate, apart from when they try to mash together.
She at this point could go down an unofficial route of collecting anti-heroes, and creating a squad of some kind.
Well, she's already kind of got the squad, but she could be a much bigger part of the DC universe. And I think when you've got an actress as good as Viola Davis and a character as strong as Amanda Waller, to not be using her whenever you can, it's just unreal. I can't imagine what's going through their heads. Should we talk about another villain then? Well, they're all villains again, but Peter Capaldi, he was good. As the thinker. Again, he didn't get like a huge amount to do, but the times that he was on screen, he was great. He wasn't what I expected him to be. He was a lot seedier than I thought he'd be from the comics. But I mean, he's great, Peter Capaldi. I like Peter Capaldi and all this and most of the stuff that he's in. And he got to, which he didn't. I mean, I've not really watched Doctor Who. I think I've probably seen a couple of episodes, but he got to just let rip with all the effing and jeffing and the swearing rather than trying to hold it in.
For me, this was more like Peter Capaldi in the thick of it.
Yes.
Than Doctor Who. I watched Doctor Who and I found him a bit disappointing in that, if I'm totally honest.
Because he couldn't be Peter. I mean, if before he was in Doctor Who, I mean, he's probably been acting for years, but the thing you remember is the thick of it. And it's because he was just like, he had no filter. No. He said what he wanted to. Yeah. And then you've got Doctor Who, BBC at 6 o'clock on a Saturday with 5-year-olds watching it. Yeah. Or potentially 5-year-olds watching it. And he's having to completely tone it down. And it makes you think, suppose, what was the point in having Peter Capaldi in that role? Yeah. Because he can't do it. But this, obviously, he's not a Time Lord in this, but this kind of felt like it was the R-rated version of Doctor Who, because he's still like a fantastical character with all these spark plugs coming out of his head, which looked ridiculous, but it worked. But he's just
even
now
that
able to
bar
let loose.
scene was so funny.
Yeah,
like when they were actually taking him away, like I was just howling all the way through it.
He was brilliant, and again, I suppose it's a missed opportunity with Doctor Who. So for James Gunn to be sort of to pick up on that and give him his time to shine was brilliant. Should we talk about let's talk about Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn?
Loved
Again,
her.
She's always great.
She just doesn't disappoint, everything. Does she?
No, she's absolutely brilliant in everything she's in, to be fair, Margot Robbie. Again, as I said, I enjoyed her in the first Suicide Squad. She was probably one of the only decent bits of Birds of Prey.
I was going to say, I actually really enjoyed Birds of Prey.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't like it.
I did.
I felt I struggled through it. I think if she hadn't been in it, it would have just been. It would have been unwatchable. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it wasn't a great. The story was crap. It wasn't a great film. She was probably the highlight. She was the highlight. Yeah, of it. I mean, I like Ewan McGregor, and Ewan McGregor was crap in it. Yeah, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I think she's brilliant, but she was crap in it. Yeah, and I think it comes down because they're not bad. They're not bad actors. No. It didn't have bad actors in the movie. No, it was just a not very well put together, in my opinion, movie, and the story was shit. Yeah. But Margot Robbie was still quite good in it. Yeah. She wasn't. I don't think she was great, but I think for what the film was, she did really well in it. Yeah. But then to have James Gunn directing her and writing the story for her, she was amazing. She was really good all the way through. Every time she was on the screen, she completely owned it. Every time she was there, and I think we'll come to Ratcatcher too. I think she was really good in it as well, but she just sort of stole the show as usual. Harley Quinn, like the whole weird scene where she was falling in love with like the new president of whatever the country was. Again, it felt completely out of place, but it worked.
And same as like when the Naui kept we jumped as well, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
when she shot him. Yeah. Like neither of us saw that coming at all. No, and I left my seat.
I did
100%.
I don't really jump because you can see things coming. It just came out. It wasn't even scary. It was just the bang. Yeah, absolutely out of nowhere.
But then I was kind of like, oh, yeah, she's done it.
Yeah.
Like it's happened.
Yeah, just completely no.
But it's so Harley Quinn at the same time.
Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah, but you didn't.
But you still didn't see it coming at all. And I just loved it. And the whole conversation of explaining why she did it to him afterwards just made me laugh so much. Yeah. It was just so funny. She was like, oh, I'm really sorry.
She's trying to completely sort of get herself out of it. Yeah. And she's the one in this film, again, talking about what like Thor and stuff like that. She's the one who is like the perfect element of goofy, but absolute badass, because when she gets kidnapped and she escapes, that's so good. She pretends to be passed out and sort of breaks the neck of the guard and gets the key and undoes
with
it with
their thighs.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. And
I loved how they stopped using blood and they started using the animated flowers.
Yes.
Instead, as she was doing that whole fight scene, because
I forgot about that fight scene. Like, when she escapes.
Yeah. Like it just was brilliant because it just shows like the insanity of her and how. Because I mean, she's never fazed by blood and things like that, and it's kind of like, it's so gruesome. How is she okay with that? And then you're kind of getting a glimpse into
what she's seeing,
her vision of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I
didn't even think of it like that, but yeah,
so much.
It does make.
I just thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I think the danger that they had, which they didn't do, but I think the danger with Harley Quinn and Margot Robbie, because she's obviously such a loved character, because she is. It's what people know, particularly if you're not into DC. I think people know Harley Quinn and they know it's Margot Robbie. It would have been very easy to turn this into another Harley Quinn movie.
Yeah,
and they didn't.
No,
they used her without making her like obnoxious.
Yeah,
they didn't make the whole ending. And I know obviously she ended up throwing the javelin into Starro's face in the end.
Yeah.
But it didn't all just become, which I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
As soon as she picked that javelin up, I thought this is it now. She's going to run with it, and I kind of would have been all right with it because of the amount of sort of screen time and story that everybody else got. But they didn't just give it to her and let her wrap it all up.
Yeah.
They still split it between the team.
Yeah.
And even though like Bloodsport couldn't really do anything, he felt like the Steve Rogers of the movie towards the end.
Yeah.
Like he's powerful and he's a leader and they need him there, but he's not the muscle. He's just sort of directing people.
Yeah.
But it would have been so easy for them to just make it the Harley Quinn show at the end.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
No.
So they using it sparingly as well. I think was really clever.
That whole escape scene though was brilliant. For the fact that they were literally starting their plan. He was climbing the wall to get in and get in. And then she's like, what are y'all doing?
And she rolls up and she's like, oh, you got to rescue me. Go back in. I can go back in. I thought it was good as well. Like Bloodsport is just sat there with a vest on and his helmet, just climbing up the wall. He's just like so like blasé to it all. He's just like, well, I'll put it on because I need it. Going on to Joel Kinnaman then, Rick Flag. I want to talk about him because I feel like he was a complete. There's only a few characters who were in both films. Obviously, Boomerang gets killed in the opening minutes.
Yeah.
Amanda Waller. It was just sort of like a more intense version of her of the first one. So was Harley Quinn, and again, I think they just did a really good job of Rick Flag because I think he was very forgetful from the first film.
Yeah.
He didn't really do a massive amount. I know he had like a bit of it kind of was his story to a degree, the first film, because he was in love with the Enchantress.
I must admit, I don't remember either of them from the first film.
Who? Amanda Waller?
Rick Flag or...
Boomerang?
Yeah.
Don't you?
No.
Rick Flag. So in the first film, it's all... The baddie is Enchantress, Cara Delevingne.
Yeah.
And he's Enchantress's boyfriend. And he's running the show. So he's working for Amanda Waller. So he's basically the only person working for her who's with the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And he's just there purely to stop that, basically to take charge of them.
Yeah.
And he's just like proper bureaucrat, by the books, bit of a bastard. He's quite happy when he rolls up to rescue Amanda Waller and she just shoots everybody in the building. He's not arsed or not fazed by it. And I think towards the end of that story, he sort of becomes a little bit more down to earth and not as military, but they took him completely out of it. He was funny.
Yeah.
He was entertaining. He had a personality in it. He was much more down to earth with it. I just think they did a really good job, and I think it's quite sad that they killed him off.
Yeah.
At the end, because I think by the time we got to the end, I was enjoying the character.
Yeah.
And I think again, it just shows it's not, you can have fantastic actors, because Joel Kinnaman's a good actor. He's been in a few things.
Yeah.
But they did a shit job with him in the first one, and it just took a good writer and a good director to let him sort of shine, really.
Yeah.
John Cena, Peacemaker. We've talked about him a little bit, but let's go into a bit more detail on John Cena.
Hilarious.
Again, yeah.
He brought everything to it, let's be honest.
I know it was a comedy, but they had so many comic reliefs.
Yeah.
And obviously he was one of them.
But then that turn to him going sinister at the end was such a sharp turn.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Exactly. And he acted it well as well. Because I think it's quite easy to think when you've got someone like John Cena who's like, ex-professional wrestler, it would be easy to think maybe he's just going to be, he can do the funny bits maybe, but he's not like, he's not got any real acting chops. But I know, it wasn't like Shakespeare or anything like that, no. But it was, he pulled it off. You believed it when believed it when he turned, rather than it just being like, because he could have played it stupid evil, and he didn't at the end. No. He played it like quite calculated. Again, his whole banter all the way through with Idris Elba and everybody, to be fair, was really good. I thought he was a really good character. Should we talk about not many left? Should we talk about Ratcatcher 2? Daniela Melchior. She was my favourite.
She was bro.
She was 100% my favourite. I didn't know who she was going into it.
Yeah.
I'd never seen the actress in anything before.
Yeah.
I didn't really know the character.
Yeah.
Thought it was a bit weird. You've got some girl who controls rats.
Essentially the Pied Piper.
Yeah. It was...
And then Taika Waititi
was a dad. That threw me, but it was great.
I was like, oh, okay.
I enjoyed it. When you saw him dying, I was like, to you... Taika Waititi. Kind of like, it looked like him, but we weren't sure.
Yeah, because his name was up on the beginning, and you were like,
I didn't see that.
Was it?
Yeah, I didn't see it at the start. But then, when you see him at the end. But she had, and they all had really good story arcs, but I really enjoyed her story arc.
Yeah.
I thought the character was dead. She was like dead sweet. She was like really naive. It's like, she is a supervillain.
Yeah.
And she's amongst these supervillains. And all this... Absolutely.
And do you know what? As much as Harley Quinn was like the big thing with the javelin, she was with the rats at the end, wasn't she?
Oh yeah.
Because the way she brought them all out, and she was like, "What?"
The amount of power she's got when you think about it. I mean, her and Sebastian and the rest of the rats destroying that giant kaiju, basically,
them all just flaming in its eye.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's. She was very like understated, and then at the end I think it was quite surprising because of how sort of like naive she came across as all the way through the film. I thought it was quite surprised that she did so well, but I think I'm glad she wasn't one of the ones who died. Yeah, because I think she, again, if DC know what they're doing, will have her back. Yeah, and hopefully not completely ruin the character. Just like James Gunn. Just let James Gunn do it all.
Can we talk about Shark a bit more? Because...
Yeah, go on. Let's talk about King Shark.
So, his adventures, like, in particular, first of all, him making the stick version of John Cena out of the putty stuff, the bomb.
Love that.
That made me laugh so much.
Did he say friend when he did it? Was it friend?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then everyone legged it through a door, and he just started wandering up a set of stairs instead, and I was like,
where's he going?
What the fuck is he doing? Like, where is he going? And then he finds all these little fish that he absolutely falls in love with. Yeah. And then when the building collapses and it all smashes, it turns out they're like man-eating bloody...
proper gremlins, aren't they? Like they go from sweet and lovable.
And he's so shocked. And it's so funny. It just made me laugh
but
so
one
much.
of the times you thought he was dead.
Yeah.
When they all started biting him and all the blood started going everywhere, I was like, King Shark's dead.
I know.
And then he falls off the thing and smashes against the floor and he's still not dead.
Yeah, like about 7 stories he falls down and he's not dead. And then the starfish throws him into a building that then collapses and he's still not dead. And I was like... I genuinely thought that was the last of him.
He is.
Like, on all 3 occasions.
He's just the DC. He's just the DC Hulk. Clearly, I thought it was dead. I mean, he was really enjoyable all the way through with all like the hand and nom noms and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Again, they did that because it's not how they've done in anything I've seen King Shark in. It's not how they've done him. They've always done him quite sort of like as a villain, like calculated and he knows what he's doing. But to just play the complete stupid card. He's like a child.
I just remembered Milton, the bus driver, as well.
Milton. Should we talk about Milton? Should we talk about Milton before we get on to Polka Dot Man?
Yeah.
Milton was great, even though he wasn't really in it. The whole Milton situation.
He was the bus driver.
I know.
That was supposed to be it. And then he's there with his little bag of co-op sweets or whatever it is he had in his bag.
Did he?
I don't know. I don't know what was in the bag, but it just seemed like he'd been in the corner shop. Was like, does anyone want anything? And was just walking at the back of the group of them while they're all trying to shoot these people. It just seemed so out of place. But we didn't question him being there.
No,
this was the thing.
I think the writing was brilliant.
Yeah, it was so clever.
2 jokes.
And then they were like, why was he here?
Yeah.
Who's Milton?
And she's like, there wasn't a Milton.
And then later when she calls Bloodsport Milton, he's like, that's not my name. She's like, we had a whole conversation about it.
But it was literally, the whole setup of Milton was just for them 2 jokes, which fell brilliantly because it was so well placed. And it was just the way that they like sort of like drip fed him all the way through the movie, rather than just making a big point of it, to the point where you can tell something's coming from it. Do you get what I mean? Because it would so many films would have just been like, oh, this is Milton, everybody. This guy here's Milton, and it's like, why are they making a big deal of Milton? And they didn't. James Gunn just did it so well, where it's like you knew his name straight away. But he did it so that you didn't question it. It was just kind of done in passing, but it wasn't. Just for that joke.
So
and when
good.
Polka Dot Man stands up and he's like, "It's Milton. He's died." Just like, and he was like proper.
No one else sad about this.
No one else is sad, like, and no one else knows who Milton is. Idris Elba thought he was still on the bus. He's like, was he with us? Harley Quinn's like, I would have known if it was a Milton. There wasn't such a thing as Milton.
When you watch it again, he's walking at the back of them in that office building, and he's got
in the rain scene. You know the scene where they all come through, where Idris Elba comes through the rain, the one in the trailers. He's at the back.
Plastic bag with him all the time.
I think he's carrying the C4.
Oh, is it?
He must be. He must have been carrying the C4. But again, he was part of that. The final assault, the final battle, when you get the slow motion walking through the rain, he's there amongst them. And again, it just didn't. You didn't notice him, but you knew he was there at the same time.
But it didn't seem out of place.
No, it just felt funny, like part of the joke. Poor Milton.
So
rest in peace, Milton. Poor Milton. And then last of the main characters, because we're not going to talk about all the individual, the Suicide Squad who died at the start. Again, one of the standouts for me, David Desmolchin as Polka Dot Man. How on earth did they make that work?
I have no idea.
Polka Dot Man.
It was
so.
What, do you throw polka dots? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, but how powerful was he? He was just like a full-on superpower.
And his mummy issues.
His mum was brilliant. It was so good.
It was
the
like
first shot when they did it, and it's like he's looking and they're all stood in front of him.
Yeah,
I couldn't work out what was going on. It scared me to a degree when you saw it.
Every joke about a Karen as well.
Yeah,
like that's what it made me think of the whole time, and I was just absolutely wetting myself. And when he envisaged
Starro as his mum,
that was it then.
All around the city. I'm sure she pulled out on me in the road this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She looked just like her. That was great. But it did. Do you know what? The first time when we saw her as Starro smashing up the city, it was hilarious, and it was as well when we saw all the characters, the whole Suicide Squad, all this hair, and they looked amazing. Yeah. They didn't look like out of place, like they just stuck a head on. They had spent a lot of time making them all look absolutely perfect. Yeah. But it was like Uncanny Valley. It's like you saw it, but it took you. Well, me anyway. It took me like a good because they stayed on the shot for a while, which is good because they needed to. It took me a good 5 seconds to figure out what was going on, because it's like all I see is my mum, and then it pans to them all, and you're like, hang on, what's going on here? Are they all hair? And there's like the way that they're all looking, and they're like hair is king shot. It's just like trying to catch a butterfly in the background with like this stupid gumless look on her face. And whoever the actress was who played her, she pulled off all their looks, like the expressions on their faces all looked like those individual characters.
It was so good.
Particularly the John Cena one, the Peacemaker one. It was really, really good. And again, I think David Desmolchin, he did a really good job of the character, and obviously the writing. As I said, how can you make that character work? Is just and take him seriously.
It was impressive.
The costume looked ridiculous.
Yeah,
the power set was ridiculous. The name is ridiculous, but you took him seriously all the way through.
You did laugh every time you saw that costume, though. When you saw everyone else what they were wearing, and then you see him with his, it looks like he's
especially every time he woke up and he was all covered.
It looks like he's about to run and jump at one of them Velcro walls.
He does.
That's what he looks like.
He does. Yeah. And when he woke up in the morning, he's covered in polka dots and he's throwing them all up.
Yeah. And he just glows over in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. It was so weird. But again, I think he had one of the biggest arcs, obviously to the point where he got killed at the end. But he went from hating himself and which is kind of sad, really, because it's like at the start when he says we're all gonna die. Yeah, Idris Elba says we're all gonna die, and he looks and he's like, I hope so, because he's like, oh, for fuck's sake, because it's like it's quite sad because he wanted to die. He just considered himself to be a complete experiment. Yeah, that his life was complete. I'm going dark now, aren't I? Yeah, life was completely destroyed by his mom, and he kind of like in the club when he's dancing with all the women in the club, he's like starting to enjoy himself.
Yeah.
He gets over his mummy issues when he kills Starro, and he says, "I'm a superhero. I am a superhero," and he's completely finally come to accept himself and just like splat.
Yeah.
He's just dead. Very dark, but
yeah.
I wasn't
really funny as well.
You were laughing,
yeah.
Which was horrible. But when he actually got stood on and he died, he didn't find it sad. Only
it was
sad when I think about it.
Yeah,
but it was funny. It was funny the way they pulled it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I mean, absolutely amazing film. I really want to go back and watch it again.
I'd happily go and watch that again.
I know I've said it a few times. James Gunn did a fantastic job. All the cast did a fantastic job. There was no weak link.
No.
They're all great. Everybody who died, I'm sad about it in the sense that we're not going to get to see that character again.
Yeah.
Oh, and we got the post-credit scene.
So we got the Weasel waking up so he wasn't dead.
We got Weasel waking up so he's not dead, which is quite good because I'd like to see him
the noise
back.
that he made as soon as I just couldn't go.
and then Peacemaker dying. Not dying, but not being dead.
Not being dead.
Yeah, because we said that when the credits were rolling. We said, well, Peacemaker must be a prequel in the series.
No, you said I was convinced that it was him that was going to be alive. I was like, he'll be the other post credit. He's alive.
Oh right, okay. I thought.
And you were like, no, it's going to be a prequel.
Prequel, yeah. I thought it must be a prequel. Sorry, I was wrong. You were right.
I know.
I'll just shut up.
It's nice when it happens.
But I know, yeah.
It's not often.
No, not really. But yeah, I mean, the fact that I said the ones who did die, I'm sad that we're not going to get to see more of them. Because I think Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flag was great, and David Dastmalchian's Polka Dot Man. Again, I would have loved to see more of him. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Want to see it again. I just hope we get more. I know we're getting more of this universe with Peacemaker the series, which is coming to HBO Max. But I want the Suicide Squad too. Yeah. And hopefully now that James Gunn, I sound like I'm wishing him away from Marvel, but hopefully if he is going to wrap up after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we'll be able to get more.
I just really want more of King Shark.
Yes,
he did.
But I don't want anybody other than James Gunn to do it.
No, because
I just really, really worry that if anybody sort of takes the reins for these characters now,
don't change what's not broken.
No, just give it back to James Gunn.
Yeah.
Or not even that. Just let whoever wants to do it do it. Just don't interfere.
Yeah.
Just let the writers. They just need somebody, one person, overseeing the whole thing, like a Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
They need a Kevin Feige to oversee the same thing, the whole thing.
It's an internal structure that they need. That's what it is.
Exactly. It just feels like at the moment it's like you have this, and there's not really that continuity there. But this just shows it's not DC that's the problem.
No.
And it's probably not the directors that's the problem.
No.
It's Warner Brothers, I assume, being too controlling. And again, Fox have made the mistakes with X-Men and with Fantastic Four. Marvel, I'm not going to say they're perfect, but they have a general idea, and 99% of the stuff is good. And it's because of the. I don't even think with Marvel, it's the a lot of the stuff is good. I mean, it is, but even when you look at the weaker elements of the Marvel movies, like Thor: The Dark World, or in my opinion, the Ant-Man movies, because they're not bad. They just don't really. They're not big spectacles. No. They're not as good. But the fact that they're all going towards the one story and the continuity makes even the not excellent films come across as potentially excellent films. And that's what DC just need to do. They just need to figure out a story. We've said it before, they've got the chance to do this with The Flash now. Wrap it up, figure out your timeline, and just run with it. Don't be getting into multiverses. It's too early to get into multiverses. It's too complicated. Use it once for The Flash, and then plod on.
Just slow it back down, give it some pace, and build it back up.
Exactly. Shall we do Pod Fans Assemble?
Yeah, let's do it.
Pod Fans Assemble.
So, reactions to the Suicide Squad. We had Paul Sears. Went last night and was blown away by how good it was. It was just mad on another level. Brilliant characters, even the ones that didn't last long.
Yeah.
King Shark was great, and Harley Quinn just made this her own, especially in that fight scene. Brilliant. Need to go again now. Yeah. And that's exactly how we felt.
Yeah. It's the first DC film I want to go and watch again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We Needed Roads podcast. I loved it. Gunn manages the ensemble really well, and every character from the last film is the best version of themselves in this one.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. Special shout outs to Weasel, Ratcatcher 2, Sebastian and Milton.
I like the way you shouted out Weasel.
Yeah. Kids, what are we watching tonight? Weasel's hilarious. The opening 10 minutes are gloriously over the top. Nanao is so well done by... Nanao is so well done. My daughter wants one. Love it. I love that every character gets their own moment to shine, especially Ratcatcher 2 and Polka Dot. David does a great job with him. Yeah.
Yeah, they both did. Yeah.
Yeah. Reactions to the Venom trailer. Mm-hmm. We had Alan Hangover just put the gif of Jimmy Fallon. That looks good.
Yeah.
And Jessica Barry. This trailer makes the movie look slightly darker than the first trailer did, so I'm excited about that. I think that as well.
It does,
but
look
I think it's
darker.
Because of Carnage.
Yes, it was only the Carnage bits that were dark. It looked. Do you know what? It could have been two different movies. Like all the Tom Hardy stuff. Is just pure comedy.
Yeah.
And then you've got.
And then you just take one look at Woody Harrelson's face
and it's just
in
like
the cell.
It's dark.
Yeah. As long as they get the balance between the lighter and darker moments right, then it looks like could be a great film, which, yeah.
I think they'll get a balance, but I feel like it's going to be every time Tom Hardy's on screen, it's going to be a comedy, a stupid slapstick comedy, and every time Woody Harrelson's on, it's going to be like a horror film, and then it's just not going to mesh. That's my only concern.
Then we've just got a theory from Geeky Nate. Okay, Spider-Man theory. As the new set photos leak showing a feast truck, Mr. Negative will either be established or will be a sub-villain. I think Miles will get his powers in this film and it will play somewhat as his origin story and Parker needing to teach him somehow. I think it will end with the multiverse and Parker getting trapped in the Sony Spider-Verse, but the MCU keeping Miles so both have a Spider-Man.
Oh, I don't know. I like it and I don't like it because I would like I like the fact that Sony don't have anything to do with it anymore because that's probably the biggest issue.
But I think it's still a bit too soon.
To bring in Miles?
No, for Peter Parker to be teaching Miles.
Yeah, he's 16, 17?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and
too
the
early.
way he's been brought across in all of these, he's still learning himself.
Yeah.
We've not got one where he's gone, okay, now he's in his own. He's making huge mistakes constantly. And we've just ended the last one on everyone finding out who he is. So he's backed into a corner at the moment. I don't think he's in any position to be at that stage yet where he can then be a mentor to someone else.
I know.
Does that make sense?
I completely get you. But I like Spider-Man being like that. I want like I've said this before, I want like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man rather
me
than
too.
like Iron Man fighting aliens and all that sort of stuff. And you want him sort of like figuring things out. But then when do you get to the point where he's like at the height of his powers and he's got it figured out? And I think maybe not a dig at Tom Holland, but I feel like I wonder whether Tom Holland's going to struggle to play the mature Spider. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
because he plays the. I mean, I've only ever really seen him in Spider-Man, to be honest. But even in real life, he acts like Peter Parker.
Yeah,
and I can't see him pulling off the experienced Spider-Man.
I've seen him in. There's a film that's come out recently. It's about what the devil does, or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Totally different.
Does he play it well?
He's really good. Yeah,
Okay. Well, maybe you can do it then.
His character is kind of like young but haunted by what's gone on in his past.
Yeah,
and it's a very different take on what we've seen him do so far. So
you think he could pull off experienced Spidey? Okay, cool.
I think he could pull it off, but it can't be a flip switch. It's got to be progressive.
Yeah,
and I think if they just flip it in this film, it's going to ruin it. So
yeah. But he did. I mean, like when he figured out his spider sense and stuff at the end of the last film, he did come across as a bit of a flip switch.
Just
to it.
It was just a bit more. It was less self-doubt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had confidence in his own ability more
maybe
so
they just
than he's had before.
Maybe they need to give him another movie and another Avengers, and by the end of that next Avengers movie, he's with it. Like another two films, he's with it, he's mature, and then he can start training up, and then it's, where it goes from there. Yeah. So we should probably say as well for next week's Podfans Assemble, because we're going to be on the What If Chronicles. We're going to have What If themed Podfans Assemble. So what we want you guys to do, and we'll come up with some as well as sending your thoughts on the episode and your theories for anything we're discussing and what if, we want you to send in what if scenarios.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss what we think would happen in those scenarios. Again, we'll put this on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. But send in your what if scenarios. Not something that's been on what if, obviously, but send in things that can be DC related, can be MCU related, or anything comic booky really. And we'll talk through them and see what we think. Send in some Nick Cage ones.
No.
Yeah, send in some Nick Cage ones. Should we do the wrap up then?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, thanks for the show. Don't forget to come back next week for the start of the What If Chronicles event. We'll be breaking down episode 1 of What If, and we will have a special guest host next week who we will announce on social media and the website this week as well. You can find all our episodes at thatsuperherothing.com, along with all of our social media links, and you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. On the website, you can also sign up for our email newsletter where you receive new episode alerts, news on upcoming shows, and some behind-the-scenes looks at the show. You can contact us on any of our socials and submit thoughts and theories for next week's Pod Fans Assemble too. If you've enjoyed the show, please do consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. As I said, it really does help us get seen and get noticed by more people, so it would mean the world. Other than that, though, I think that's us for this week. Start getting ready for What If in a couple of days now. That's it, isn't it?
I know.
So that's everything from me. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.